I'm Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. In today's video, I want to show you a few little things I like to do with the diatonic pitch shifting modes in the Axe-Fx 3, FM9 and FM3 pitch blocks. We're on the Axe-Fx 3 today. I've got my old Strat plugged in, I'm on the neck pickup, and I have the Band Commander amp model dialed up together with the JFET compressor. I have a pair of York Audio impulse responses loaded up. Here you can see the cab block is in stereo at the moment. I also have the large plate reverb on, and I've got a pitch block in here set right in between the amp and the cab. We'll talk about why I like to do that in a second, but first, let's just have a listen to the core clean sound. It's a pretty addictive clean sound with this particular guitar and that amp, cab, compressor and reverb setup. The first thing that I want to do is just explore how you would set up a very basic guitar style harmony. I'm talking about a standard diatonic third or a fifth. I always find thirds the best example because I love to listen to Iron Maiden and they use that harmony all the time. So I've got a pitch block placed between the amp and the cab at the moment. I'm going to navigate to the dual diatonic mode. The first thing I'm going to do is actually just turn the level down on the second voice because I just want my guitar blended with a single guitar harmony, kind of mimicking a classic two guitar setup. So why have I placed it between the amp and the cab? We'll be able to hear this in a second, but what I like about this particular setup is you can place the pitch shifter after the amp so that it's processing essentially the tone there, but you can come down here, you can go to master and mod, and you can set the detector source to input number 1. So it can detect the unprocessed pitch of my guitar and calibrate its pitch detector and pitch shifting based on my clean DI, but I just kind of like the sound of it right here. What we're gonna hear very quickly is I'm gonna set this harmony here just to be a fifth, so a diatonic fifth wherever I'm playing. You can see the key is in A major, so I just kind of stick to the key of A. Let's have a listen to it here. Otherwise stock settings, just what this diatonic fifth sounds like. Now let's have a listen to that before the amp. I'll just drag this block over here. Sounds a little bit brighter. Some may say that it kind of sounds conversely warmer in between the amp and the cab, but let's just swap over to a distorted amp really quickly. And I think you'll hear this a lot clearer. I would compare this kind of setup with a pitch block before the amp to like running two guitar players through the same amp. I remember my very first practice amp was one of those things that had two inputs on it, and you have a buddy come over and you both plug into the same amp and wonder why it kind of sounds weird, and you do get this in this particular setup. All right, it doesn't sound bad, but I much prefer how kind of much clearer and articulate it sounds back here. That sounds a little bit closer to two guitar players playing in harmony. I'm gonna bring the mix down on this right now. And let's say we wanted to do a guitar harmony in the key of E minor. So I can set this to E, I can set the scale to Aeolian minor, and I want it to be a third. I can just set it to 3 right there. And there I've got my kind of Iron Maiden style guitar harmony happening there. What I like to do to kind of fatten this up a little bit, let's get this second voice involved. So we'll turn the level up to 100% and we'll pan them hard left and hard right. I'm gonna set them for the same harmony, but I'm gonna detune them slightly. Let's go for +4 on one voice and -4 on the other voice. This is why I have these two stereo cabs panned here, so I can still get that stereo image. Let's have a listen to this now. I just find that kind of sounds a bit thicker, a little bit more realistic sounding with these detuned voices. Of course, if you have two guitar players playing different guitars, different sets of hands, different amps, you are going to get pitches that aren't always perfectly 100% in tune. And I like to emulate that with the detune. You can also add a little bit of offset with these delays, like delays less than 10 milliseconds generally sound pretty good. Let's have a listen to that before the amp. We're going to lose the stereo image on this. Another reason why I prefer to run it after the amp. So that doesn't sound as clear or as articulate as sticking it in here. Again, the trick though was to set the detector source as input 1. So that's kind of what I like to go for with something like this, where you use the dual diatonic. You actually use both voices. You detune them a little bit and you just use a little bit of a delay offset on there. Another popular thing to do is bring the high cut down on here and the low cut up a little bit, just so that guitar harmony has a slightly narrower bandwidth than your main guitar. So your main guitar line is going to stick out a bit more and the harmonies will just be there to reinforce it. Beautiful stuff right there. We could take this next level though, and we could introduce some more rhythmic delays in there, and we could introduce 2 more voices into here by using the quad diatonic delay. I'm going to go back to a clean amp over here just so you can hear what this is doing. So check this out. I have set the same key and scale. So we're in E natural minor over here, but now I have 4 voices. I have my harmonies, which I can set like this. I'm going to go for a 5th up. Then I'm going to add the 7th note of the scale. I'm going to add an octave and a 3rd on there. So let's make this 10 and let's have an octave down on here as well. I'm going to pan these voices hard left and hard right. I could add some more detune to these voices. Let's go maybe 5 cents over here and minus 10 cents over here. Whatever values you like. This isn't super scientific, but check this out now. This is super fun. I'm now playing 7th chords in the key of E minor by just playing a single note on there, which is really, really fun. You take it even further though and go to the delay section on here. Let's set these up to be rhythmic delays. I'll do a dotted 8th note here. I'll do a quarter note here. I'll do a 16th for one of them. And for the last one, maybe let's make it just a straight 8th note on there. This is super fun. This is super inspiring. Now that mode, I personally find so fun and so inspiring. In fact, while I was setting up for this video and playing around, I dialed in this particular setup. I think I've got it on channel C here. So you can see an 8th note, a quarter note, a dotted 8th, and a 16th for the delays. The voices are a 5th, a 10th, so like an octave and a 3rd. We've got our 7th on here and we've got our octave down with those voices. And I'm gonna play you all out with a little track that I put together. Just because I was playing around with this, I immediately heard a little arrangement in my head. I'm gonna solo over it using the fat thirds setting that we dialed in before with the dirty amp. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed this Tuesday tone tip. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Have a great week.